It's really such a privilege to be here and hear the energy and hear the conversations that are going on in the elevator and all of the connections I know you guys are making. It's really one of my favorite things, so thanks. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about my learning journey and hopefully something that will be helpful for your learning journeys as well. And first I'd like to invite you to think a little bit about what is a university. We all have experience with universities, we all have beliefs about universities, but what is this strange institution that has endured so strongly for such a long time in its basic elements, the symbols, the caps and the gowns, and in its experiences, the lecture halls, the sitting and thinking and the standing and talking? Why is it that this one template has been so enduring? John Meyer, who's a sociologist from Emeritus from Stanford, has an opinion about this. He calls the university the cathedral of rationality. He says, we're modernists now. We all live in the modern era, the postmodern era, if you want. We're rationalists. We have this amazing belief about the world that the world can, you can deduce universal principles from individual events, and you can use that understanding of universal principles to act on the world. We all agree on this. I mean, this is the scientific method. I don't think there's a person here that doesn't have a rational streak in them, at least, a little one. And the university is the cathedral of rationality. It's the high church, the high priestdom of that particular way of viewing the world. And that is exactly why it's so hard to change it. It's why it gets repeated all over the world. It's like a cargo cult. You come to a new country, you come to a new continent, you set up the caps, you set up the gowns, you set up the PhDs, and presto, you've got the light of knowledge and the transformational purpose of the world. And this is a great story, and it's true in a lot of ways, except when it's not. Right? There's problems with this. There's problems with any institution that endures for 1,000 years, and this is the moment where a lot of people are starting to say, maybe there's another way, right? And so, a lot of people, I think, in this room are starting to seek out educational experiences that look a little bit more like this. There's a piece from an online place, and then that's my friend Liz. She's studying midwifery. She's a nurse already, and she went into Uganda to go, and their model there at Earth Birth is to work with the local women and to each share and trade knowledge back and forth, so it's very experiential, it's embedded, she's encountering another culture. This is the kind of learning a lot of us want to have. Right? So we have this crisis in traditional higher education, and we have a vision of what might be better. And this vision is not brand new. It's rooted in a long tradition of scholarship and criticism. Ivan Illich is a really wonderful person to start reading. Before you read DIYU, you should read Deschooling Society and talk about how the advent of formal education, created swaths of ignorance because people all of a sudden felt ignorant because they didn't have access to formal education, and that people are schooled. Schooling is a way that you get people to accept truths about the world as being received instead of thinking about things for themselves. So there's a lot of problems with the way that we do that. Then, we had cognitive anthropologists, Jean Love and Etienne Wenga, who talked about what did people do before there were universities? Did nobody know anything? Were we all completely ignorant? Actually, maybe not, right? What there were instead, they studied midwives in the Yucatan, they studied tailors in West Africa. They said there's situated learning. People had learning in an important place, and they had legitimate peripheral participation. So you watch, and then you do, and then you do something more, then you teach someone else, and that's how you get yourself into a community, and that's how you start learning by doing and learning and doing and doing and learning, and that's the process. And then we started to have, the internet came about, and people started talking about, what about open content? David Wiley created one of the first open content licenses and said, if I write, if I have a calculator, I've given one person one calculator. But if I write a JavaScript calculator online, I can give it to thousands of people and I won't have lost anything, right? So we can create these networks of content, free and open content, and the content can be the infrastructure of learning, the basics upon which we build, and we start to have a sort of a distributed communities of learning around various types of knowledge or hubs of knowledge. So, I got really excited about this, a couple of years ago. I wrote this book called DIYU. I started writing, I wrote guides and plans and to show people how they could go and start to learn by themselves. This was on P2PU, build a personal learning plan. People joined in and they created their own, plans and got resources from around the web when they talked to each other. And, I talked to people about, okay, there's a social aspect to this too. You need to find a mentor. You need to join a network. This is all well and good. But I started to realize that there was a piece that I was leaving out, right? So many people right now are very, very excited about the possibility of technology to transform education, and I am one of those people. I think that things like Khan Academy, things like Coursera and MITx, they're all getting the message out there, and the access to information is very democratized, and that's an amazing thing, because when you have people who are very self-directed and empowered, the fact that they can have access now to the best teachers in the world and the best knowledge in the world is potentially transformative. But there's a really big part that's left out of that, and that is really the human side of learning and the way that we all learn and the reasons that we all learn. This is something that I had to learn the way that people learn, which is through my own experience and through being around people. So I started to look at, even as there are these massively open platforms with millions of people using them, there's also these innovations in experiential learning. And these are 3 examples on this page. There's Institute, there's Hacker School, and General Assembly, which are all very traditional looking. They're not accredited, but they're people getting in a room together to practice things that they didn't learn in school. And I think that that's a very, very important part of learning, and I realize that's the innovative edge too. It's the innovative edge where it's communities of practice in the real world coming together around questions and points of knowledge, and I think that a lot of social enterprises exemplify that kind of learning as well. You connect with people online, sure, through Twitter, but then you go and meet with them in conferences, and you're each trying to follow your own curiosity and your own goals, and build the network that you need, that you're going to take with you as you go out and try to solve the problem or fulfill the mission that you set for yourself. But the ultimate thing that really taught me about how learning works was actually having my first child, right? So I knew this in an abstract way, but I really had to learn that the whole motivation for us to learn in our minds is to connect with other people, right? The reason that we learn to talk is so we can talk to the people around us and tell them and share our experiences, and the way that our brains work, we're constantly trying to connect with other people and work on that. And learning in the first few years, 0 to 3, is 100% tactile. There's nothing, they go onto screens and they swipe on screens, but it doesn't really interest them. What they want to do is they want to move their bodies in space, and they want to learn through feeling things. And because most of the things that they have to learn are fine motor coordination to gross motor coordination, this is really, really important stuff. And the other really key thing, which I think that we kind of leave out of our story of learning, and certainly doesn't belong in that medieval, lecture hall, is this idea about failure, right? And, I hadn't experienced a lot of failure in my life until I tried to have a child. And that was something that didn't work out for me for a couple of years. And that was something that I really needed to learn about. I needed to learn that you can't always get everything that you want by going straight at it, and that sometimes you need to make space and time in your life to let things happen. I mean, it's lessons that life brings to you along the way, but in a classroom where it's dangerous to fail and it's risky to fail, that lesson of life might pass you by. And if you're going to have a robust future and have a life where you really feel situated in the world, you really need to build in for yourself opportunities to fail in a safe way. So I want to show you what that looks like and what it looked like for my daughter when she was learning one of the most important things that people learn. So I'm going to give this a shot. Yeah.
Very good. Okay, come to me. Oh! Ah! Ready, boo-boo? Okay. Ready? Get stable. Uh-oh. Oh. Come here. Ah. Come here. Okay, ready? Come here.
Oh, I didn't get it. One more time.
Woohoo!
So I just hope for you guys that when you start thinking about, your own learning process as you go through life, you have these things. You have this determination and the willingness to fail over and over and over again. That you have the person in your life to catch you. And then you also have someone, or you're going to maybe do this for yourself, which is the reflection process of, going over all of that experience and editing it together and realizing that it does go toward a goal that will then help you kind of sum it up and move on toward the next goal in your life. Because, this whole idea of finding your place in the universe, which I think is really lovely and wonderful, I regret to tell you that it's not something that you do one time. Okay, I have felt so many times in my life the way that people feel when they're just graduating from college or in the middle of college, that, oh my God, what do I do next? What have I done so far? What does it really mean? This other person's doing better than me. Am I really going to make a contribution? Look, I'm 10 years out of school, so maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that it goes away. I think that if you are living a really authentic life and a really engaged one, that you're going to have that experience over and over again, and I hope for you that you have a community that you are bringing along that also brings you along. So thanks.